Okay, so welcome and thank you once again for joining the TVU Networks panel, The Best Way to Produce in 2023, hosted by Fergal Ringrose. Please note that this is a Zoom webinar format where you are unable to share your camera and microphone. If you have any questions throughout the panel, you can use the Q&A section to write a question, which will be answered at the end of the presentation. I will hand over now to Fergal.
Hello, welcome to The Best Way to Produce in 2023, a TVU Networks webinar designed to help you and your business prepare for the new year. Founded in 2005 and headquartered in Mountain View, California, TVU Networks is a global organization with more than 3,000 customers using its IP and cloud-based workflow solutions across multiple industries, including news, entertainment, media, sports, corporate, streaming, houses of worship, and government. The company is on the forefront of developing the tools needed to revolutionize and streamline the media supply chain. TVU is a technology and engineering Emmy Award winner and has major offices in Barcelona and Shanghai. I'm Fergal Ringrose, an independent writer and editor in the broadcast and production space, and I'm delighted to be your host today. I was most recently a live production editor at NAB Amplify. Before that, I was editor and then editorial director of Sports Video Group Europe. During that time, I also was the founding editor and executive editor of the IBC 365 content platform. And then before that, I was editor of the IBC Daily News and TVB Europe. It's my pleasure to introduce my three TVU Network speakers, bringing their expertise to today's webinar. Jean-Christophe Albou is Sales Director Europe for TVU Networks. Jean-Christophe has decades of experience working for solutions providers in broadcast, including Avid, LiveView, Telestream, and Thomson, and has a strong knowledge of the European market. Hello, Jean-Christophe.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be in this webinar with you guys.
Fernando Pinto-Yes is TVU Network's Head of Solutions EMEA. Fernando is a technical expert with 20 plus years of experience, including Disney ESPN. Hi, Fernando.
Hi, Fergal. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm super excited to be part of this panel and webinar. Thank you.
And Yoni Tayar is Global Marketing Director of TVU Networks. Yoni has a global view on customer pain points and the creative workflows the company is currently developing. Hi, Yoni.
Hi, Fergal. Hi, everyone. And excited to see you again for the start of this new year.
So today's webinar is an open discussion on remote production that should run about 45 minutes, including the Q&A. As Christelle has mentioned, if you would like to ask a question, please put it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I will get to it before the end of the show. So we're here to talk about remote production and the best way to produce in 2023. We've all seen in events and shows remotely produced for many years now. But as we know, the global pandemic has accelerated the trend, and technology and cellular networks have made what seemed impossible a few years ago a reality today. So let's start with the trends we're currently seeing in remote production. Yoni, you're in contact with many different media organizations in so many regions. What are the key trends you're seeing?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, as you see, definitely like the technology has made, I've made like a huge progress in the last year. I mean, 5G is one of it, but like even the internet speeds and the setup of like a lot more like fiber optic networks all around the world, like public ones. So we are definitely like seeing like a much faster acquisition to what we all call like remote production. Okay, so remote production model is like just like being able to produce content from any remote location, not on site at the venue. And it's nothing new. I mean, everybody know about remote production. There are so many ways to achieve that. But what I would say is new now is that it has become the main way to produce content today. Whatever the form of remote production you are dealing with, it's become the main way. Definitely it was accelerated by COVID. What has always been like a slow breaker, I would say, to the remote production ecosystem was the worries about like synchronization issues and latency or stability over like IP workflows, but a lot of this is in the past, as like really the workflow have been like the technology, like Fergal said it like at the beginning, have been like definitely like growing. So what we see, which I find very interesting, and I take that example as Germany in Europe, is that we see a lot of the region that like basically have been late in the, I would say, like
of IP bonded technologies adoption in many industries such as news, but also defense, medical, and now we see especially the sport industry getting that adoption. The technology for contribution and distribution. Another important customer and partner is EBU that produce more and more content. And without saying that, we see, of course, news agencies getting not only satellite and fiber technology, but using IP bonded technologies. The last, and I think very important also trend that helps a lot the adoption of remote production and our tool is to see that it's not only about just getting the video and audio feeds from the field to a destination, but also the use of PTZ remote control cameras. So this is in parallel of the live transmission, the IP live transmission from the field, and it helps reducing again the equipment and team involved on site for every event. So when you reduce the number of people on site, you also reduce the cost, and that makes also a big difference when you want to produce content in very specific location where it's difficult to have journalists and cameras everywhere, like for ski competition or marathon. Then you can put pre-installed cameras on location and just control the video and audio, but also the PTZ cameras themselves. And we did saw that big use of PTZ control for the last Olympic Games, and also, as I said, for many ski competition. Now, just to give you also another interesting fact about production. 99% of sports doesn't get live. Only premium sports gets live. So there's a huge need of having tools, reliable, easy to use, but also cost effective to allow more sports production, which means many sports that never was able to get live so far now can get live. And even now with a tool such as TVU Producer, a single operator can run a full entire production. With remote production, you produce from anywhere with anyone. In other words, for production company, your team can now produce way more event and content than they used to do before. So TVU, yes, offer for remote production, high quality, reliable, cost-effective suites of solutions and tools. It serves from contribution, production, but also distribution of these contents. And very important, all natively integrated and connected all together. The users doesn't need multiple tools or different interfaces, which also involves complicated training for the operators, and sometimes creating hazardous results or issues with integration of third-party tools to make just one live. So TVU really
Like, I mean, yeah, a lot of people have been trying it, but feeling like they were missing some stuff, or like the stability was not there yet. And we'll see today how a lot of broadcasters, sports and news broadcasters, I've embraced really like the cloud native environment and over public internet, which I mean, really like JC said, allows you to produce a lot more events. I mean, 99% of the sports events are not being produced, and allows you as well to build more content on top of existing programs. It's not only about new event, but for example, I think we'll go through it with Fernando later, but like just putting regionalization of your content and maybe like remote commentaries in some local languages so that you can like now broadcast your content on other regions that are like maybe super interested in football or like handball or whatever the sports. Okay,
that's great. Thanks, Yoni.
So yeah, I'm sorry for you. I just wanted to add that last sentence because it was a customer that said that one day, and I find it like funny. It's like it was saying basically what we are doing is like it's not an OB van anymore. It's like you can still be in a van if you want, but with your laptop and a phone, or with your laptop and a backpack, and that's all. I mean, that's all you need. So it's I found the parallel like funny in a way that that's really what it is, and that's the new ways of producing today. Thank you, Fergal.
Okay, great. Thanks, Yoni. So now we've looked in some detail at remote production trends and evolution. So let's talk about some of the limitations and benefits of each model. Fernando, what are some of the innovations that excite you the most?
Well, thank you, Fergal. As we see here in the slide that we are sharing, we encounter different elements with different latencies, right? And I guess this is one of the constraints that we find whenever we are into a cloud production environment, right? So, I mean, for example, the REMI concept that Johnny and JC was talking about a few minutes ago, as they say, this is not something new, right? This is a really old concept during the years, but when COVID started, we needed to decentralize, right, that type of workload. So at that moment, this decentralization introduced new challenges, right, in the middle of the equation, in the middle of the workflow. Okay, and so a couple of those challenges that we are facing, just to bring a few of them, right, is like for example, the operators need to have a super low latency remote control, for example, right? And that is something that at the beginning you were trying to remote connect whatever surface you had in the production gallery, right, into the operator home or into the operator remote location, right? And this introduces that as a new challenge. Okay, how we can get low latency control response, okay, for those kind of surfaces that we were using to produce, right? And again, speaking about low latency, talking about low latency, we need to be able to have all the production crew, whatever they are, right, be able to monitor the program, basically, right? The video feeds, what is happening in the real production, right? And we need to have that again in a really low latency manner. Okay, so again, this is another challenge that we faced. I say we because I was part of. I come, as you said, from the broadcast industry, right? And we were part of that evolution, right? And then when you have all these decentralized elements, then we introduce what we call, okay, synchronization, how we can get all the sources, controls, actions, right, modifications, synchronized all together, okay, to be combined into a single production flow, right? I guess those are the main at least for us, the main challenge is that decentralized production and cloud production introduce, okay, to the equation. But again, this is not any issue anymore because we are solving all those problems, right, or those challenges, right? Day after day, we are developing the tools, we are improving the tools, right? And in the other hand, right, benefits are the most here, right? Okay, I can start saying that you don't need any infrastructure, right? This is like decentralized production using cloud production, right? Remote production. You don't need that much of infrastructure anymore, okay? It's a matter of services and when do you need those services and who is able or who should be able to use those services when and where, right? But again, I guess one way, and I will pass to Johnny and JC so we can discuss a little bit more about the benefits of the decentralized production. But one way that we are using to solve the synchronization challenge is the timestamp. Okay, we in TVU have this timestamp feature, so we timestamp all the sources, okay, throughout the entire ecosystem. Okay, so every single source that we take in gets timestamped, so we can use that in what we call our real-time interaction layer. Okay, so we use like a layer for the operators to interact and to control over, right? So everybody sees everything at the same time, and wherever they are taking an action, we will timestamp that action into that single frame, and then the action will occur at that exact timestamp. Okay, so that is how we solve, okay, synchronization. So you don't need anymore to struggle with latency, with adding delays in your facility infrastructure, so you can match, right, audio with video. With TVU, we timestamp all sources, all the actions, all the resources and services, and then in the back end, everything gets synchronized. Okay, so going back to you, Johnny and JC, on the benefits. Okay, so we can keep discussing.
So Fernando, thanks a lot for this great presentation of the challenges. What I would like to highlight is the synchronization, the timestamp of the streams is very important, not only for sports, but also for news production. When you have the same show being, for example, produced in different language, so you have different stand-up and different journalists. And the challenge is to get all those feeds frame accurate, synced, and this is exactly where the TVU solution brings a very good response, because it doesn't matter if you are producing news or sports, we always get the different multi-camera feeds synced together. Now, of course, there are other benefits for the decentralized production. We talked about it, but that's very important. As we just said, many events still doesn't get live, especially in sports. So when you decentralize the production, it also ensures that the travel costs are less. And this is, of course, better for the environmental impact. And this is also faster to set up. You reduce the number of hours. And I will give you a very nice example with the US Open Golf, where in the past, you need to dig in the ground to put fiber and like miles of fiber connection just to create the live. And now, just come with backpacks like 2 days before with minimum teams, and you just achieve the same quality and the same level of production, and you also distribute the content on the very same way, but reducing the cost. Of course, it also means that with the years and the simplification of the user interface and let's say the performance of the tool, you need less skills to operate. And we especially saw that during the COVID, where talent become the operator. That means for flexibility, we cover more events from anywhere, even from home. So, and it's not only about this, but also we see that the decentralized production is also some way of adding redundancy and backup and stability for the live production. And even for the premium sports, we rely on satellite, but satellite is not also a perfect solution. It's not 100% all the time a live solution. So we see the adoption of IP bonded technology in TVU being used in premium sport as a backup solution for satellite or fiber solution. And the decentralized production, we see it more and more in high quality sports production. And we saw that recently with EBU producing more and more content with PZ camera and IP bonded live transmission. And Yoni, maybe you can give an example about the Ironman remote production that will speak by itself.
Yeah, I mean, I always like that example in the way that first I like Ironman because I think it's crazy. But like they are basically producing, so AMP Visual that you all know very well in Paris are producing most of the Ironman events remotely from a Paris location. That includes like the finals that are happening in Hawaii, where like what they are doing is just using their packs basically. I don't know if, yeah, let me just share like that's the benefits of being virtual. So you can see an example. That's from the TV website. So there are lots of workflow available if you are looking for inspiration on how to do your event production differently and remotely to increase your flexibility and your cost. But here it's just basically all the motorbike or boat or like helicopters are equipped with like packs, okay, like to use like bonded cellular technology and also like radio frequency to combine both to be able to cover like the event in all the different locations in Hawaii. But then through what we call RPS, which is an encoder at TVU, there's kind of a hybrid model where you, like I explained before, you have an encoder at the venue and a decoder at the remote studio. They are sending all the signal perfectly synchronized back to their media center in Paris, where they are doing like the entire remote production. So that's like you have the whole more detail on the website if you want to have a look. But that's just like the example of how flexible you can be. And then in terms of setup, which JC explained, like instead of like digging in the ground for line and etc., the setup is very easy. And every Ironman event is kind of the same. I mean, like it's the same kind of like you need motorbike, you need helicopter. I mean, it's the same methodology. So they are just reusing their configuration, but just on different locations. So it makes it very fast, a lot more flexible, and again, like allowing to produce a lot more event, even for smaller audiences, because now you have a real return on investment.
That's great. Thanks, guys. So now we have a clearer understanding of the evolution of remote production, the different types and models that have been implemented in different markets. We've looked at the challenges of cloud production and the benefits of decentralized production. So what can we expect in 2023? What are we going to see as some of the newest and best ways to do remote production? So Fernando, maybe we'll start with your perspective.
Fernando, you're on mute. You're on mute, Fernando.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Johnny. So thank you, Fergal. So I guess one of the main new things that we can expect, right, in 2023 is that this is like where technology becomes easier, right? It's a tool that it's easy to use, right? Day after day, things get less complicated, less complex, right? So of course we still have a different level of complexity, right? But again, I guess one of the main things that we will expect is that everything is getting more easier to use, okay, and easy to access to, right? So and again, this allows us to easily adapt to these most complex workflows that we can have. We may
Okay, so welcome and thank you once again for joining the TVU Networks panel, The Best Way to Produce in 2023, hosted by Fergal Ringrose. Please note that this is a Zoom webinar format where you are unable to share your camera and microphone. If you have any questions throughout the panel, you can use the Q&A section to write a question, which will be answered at the end of the presentation. I will hand over now to Fergal.
Hello, welcome to The Best Way to Produce in 2023, a TVU Networks webinar designed to help you and your business prepare for the new year. Founded in 2005 and headquartered in Mountain View, California, TVU Networks is a global organization with more than 3,000 customers using its IP and cloud-based workflow solutions across multiple industries, including news, entertainment media, sports, corporate, streaming, houses of worship, and government. The company is on the forefront of developing the tools needed to revolutionize and streamline the media supply chain. TVU is a technology and engineering Emmy Award winner and has major offices in Barcelona and Shanghai. I'm Fergal Ringrose, an independent writer and editor in the broadcast and production space, and I'm delighted to be your host today. I was most recently a live production editor at NAB Amplify. Before that, I was editor and then editorial director of Sports Video Group Europe. During that time, I also was the founding editor and executive editor of the IBC 365 content platform. And then before that, I was editor of the IBC Daily News and TVB Europe. It's my pleasure to introduce my three TVU Network speakers, bringing their expertise to today's webinar. Jean-Christophe Albou is Sales Director Europe for TVU Networks. Jean-Christophe has decades of experience working for solutions providers in broadcast, including Avid, LiveView, Telestream, and Thomson, and has a strong knowledge of the European market. Hello, Jean-Christophe.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be in this webinar with you guys.
Fernando Pinto-Yes is TVU Network's Head of Solutions EMEA. Fernando is a technical expert with 20 plus years of experience, including Disney ESPN. Hi, Fernando.
Hi, Fergal. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm super excited to be part of this panel and webinar. Thank you.
And Yoni Tayar is Global Marketing Director of TVU Networks. Yoni has a global view on customer pain points and the creative workflows the company is currently developing. Hi, Yoni.
Hi, Fergal. Hi, everyone. And excited to see you again for the start of this new year.
So today's webinar is an open discussion on remote production that should run about 45 minutes, including the Q&A. As Christelle has mentioned, if you would like to ask a question, please put it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I will get to it before the end of the show. So we're here to talk about remote production and the best way to produce in 2023. We've all seen in events and shows remotely produced for many years now. But as we know, the global pandemic has accelerated the trend and changed the landscape. The continuous progress in public internet technology and cellular networks have made what seemed impossible a few years ago a reality today. So let's start with the trends we're currently seeing in remote production. Yoni, you're in contact with many different media organizations in so many regions. What are the key trends you're seeing?